They're the only game in town that has as many miles on the road. These guys are one of a handful of folks who are actually doing it.
I am definitely not evil.
テスラは歴史的な転換点を迎えました。これまでの熾烈な戦いを繰り広げていた EV 競争はついに終止符が打たれつつあります。その兆候が見え始めたのは、これまで米国政府からの多額の財政支援を受けて、テスラにとって最大の競合と目されていた GM とフォードがテスラの充電規格 NAX に準拠したニュースから始まります。最初に提携を発表したフォードがプレスリリースを打った5月25日に始まって、6月8日には GM も同様のプレスを発表したことで、今後すべての自動車メーカーは EV 事業においてテスラに依存する経営体制となりました。これを受けてテスラ株は機関投資家の買いが殺到して、2010年の6月の上場来、13年間で初めて13日連続で実に 42% も上昇しました。今回はなぜこのニュースがそこまで評価されて人類の歴史上においても転換点となったのか、その真の理由について解説したいと思います。現在のテスラとフォード、GM との業務提携はテスラにとって将来得られるスーパーチャージャーからの売電収入が増えたというだけのものではありません。これはテスラの壮大な目標を実現する上で重要な出来事となります。
All right, let's turn to another mega cap here. We're talking Tesla officially, at least for the moment, snapping its 13-day winning streak. It did flirt with going into actually, it's up again right now. The gains grew the EV maker's value by over $200 billion. For more on the future of Tesla, we're joined by Tom Narayan, and RBC Capital Markets lead equity analyst of Global Autos. He's with us here in the studio. Hey, Tom. Hey. You were out with a note this morning that made a lot of interesting hypotheticals about how big the proposition is for autonomous driving for Tesla. I mean, you make it sound like robotaxis are going to take over the world and Tesla's going to have a big market share with this. Like, paint for us this future.
Yeah, and I think what's really pushed a lot of this to the fore is the deals that they've struck with Ford and GM, basically opening the supercharger network, and effectively these two OEMs coming to Tesla and choosing their platform.
このニュースに関連してこのようなコメントをいただきました。今回の NAX 規格の拡充、つまり大手 EV メーカーがテスラの売電規格に統一したことで、テスラ以外の企業の業績に注目する人はご質問者さんだけではないと思います。しかし、こうした企業への投資でその恩恵を得られるのは、たかだか数%から 10% 程度のリターンになると思います。その理由は、充電関連のビジネスそのものが参入障壁の低い事業で、設備投資の割に利益が少ない薄利多売なものだからです。今後の EV ビジネスの裾野が広がるにつれて、こうした充電ステーション関連の事業に参入する企業も増えていきますので、過当競争となってむしろすでに参入している企業の業績に対しては重しになると思います。短期間で不確実性の高い小さなリターンを取るのであれば、こうした企業に投資するのも良いと思いますけれども、最終的なリターンはテスラに集約されることになります。そしてこのテスラが受ける恩恵は、充電規格を統一することで得られる売電収入を他社から計上できるということだけではありません。むしろ私の定量モデルではスーパーチャージャーを他社に開放することで、テスラが計上できる売上は2030年時点で数十億ドル程度と想定していて、これによる株価への影響はたかだか 1% 程度だと考えています。今回のニュースが歴史的転換点になると考える理由は、こうした微々たる売上の増加に期待しているからではなくて、別の理由で長期的な強い業績の追い風につながるからです。
The reason why robotaxis could be so transformational is their ability to save literally millions of lives. I mean, everybody in this room probably knows somebody who's been affected by a car accident, saving trillions of hours, opening up opportunities for mobility to the disabled. There's so many countless reasons why cities in Europe and China, for example, are already talking about banning private cars in the future, saving space and real estate in the cities. There's so many great reasons, and why regulators, I think, ultimately will push this. Now, this is far in the future. I do caveat that. But when you do the math on this, the potential for profitability of this is massive, especially versus just a car company.
Well, I mean, the point you make about robo-taxis and the potential for autonomous vehicles, I mean, that feels like that's an argument that's been around for a while, and the timeline keeps getting pushed back. But it feels like the approach from Tesla has changed. It used to be a lot more closed. This idea of essentially partnering with Ford and GM points to their now willingness, right, to be able to work with partners. How does that open up additional levers for them?
確かに今回の充電規格の拡充は、フォードや GM にとってメリットにはなる一方で、一見するとテスラにとって他社が充電網を使えるように支援するメリットはあまりありません。それでもテスラはこれまでテスラ社しか使えなかった自社アプリをフォードや GM の EV が充電する際に使えるようアップデートする意向を示しています。テスラがここまでフォードや GM に対してお膳立てをする意図はどこにあるのでしょうか。
A lot more closed. This idea of essentially partnering with Ford and GM points to their now willingness, right, to be able to work with partners. How does that open up additional levers for the company?
I mean, you're exactly right? People thought it was a walled garden of sorts, but, Elon Musk said on his shareholder meeting, he said flat out, like, we want to be like Android and really open up this software to everybody. My modeling that I did this morning for my $305 price target only assumes that they reach like mid-single digit percentage penetration on robotaxis in China and Europe, and only 25% penetration in the US. It's really through licensing. That's what's driving the story. It's only them and maybe a couple of other folks that are really pioneering and leading the charge on this. Just look at the FSD software that we have today. They're the only game in town that has as many miles on the road.
But this idea of opening up the walled garden, that's the analogy we want to use, how much of that was driven by the competition that is increasing in the EV space, the price cuts? I mean, we sort of look at these partnerships as if this is an all-win for Tesla, but doesn't that also point to the needs that Tesla now has?
Yeah, I think this was always the goal, always in mind, right? It was get as many cars on the road as possible, prove the technology, and then open up and license it to everybody. The reason why they're cutting pricing is they want EV penetration to increase. If your neighbor has an EV, you're more likely to buy one as well. The real denominator here is ICE cars. And opening it up actually increases EV penetration and also increases the chance that you'll see that their software is probably the best, if not one of the best, in the entire group. And there's only a handful of folks that are really doing this. And so this industry, robotaxis, could be multiple $1 trillion of opportunity. And these guys are one of a handful of folks who are actually doing it.
確かにテスラは価格競争を仕掛けて他社の値引きをもたらしたり、高い精度での自動運転を実現することによって他の企業に自動運転事業や EV 事業そのものから撤退を決断させたこともあります。テスラがこれまで行ってきた価格競争などの一見攻撃的に見える事業戦略は単純に他社を出し抜くためのものではなくて、あくまで EV そのものを普及させるためであって、その裏にある狙いは EV の普及による他社への FSD ライセンスを販売することで得られる大きな売上と高い利益率なのです。テスラが現在目指しているのはレベル3やレベル4などの限定された環境下での低いレベルの自動運転ではなくて、レベル5以上の無条件下でのドライバーレスの自動運転です。これを実現させるべく、テスラは現在世界で最も多く走っている EV 車両から映像データを独自のスーパーコンピューター道場に集約させて学習するという文字通り最高の環境で汎用性の高い自動運転技術を確立しつつあります。こうした完全自動運転を実現した場合の業績への影響と FSD の販売とライセンス提供で得られる株価への押し上げ効果については、こちらの右上のリンクからテスラの株価の将来予想を解説した動画で確認できますので、ご興味ある方はそちらからぜひ見ていただけたらと思います。結論を一言で言うと、こうした FSD ライセンスの販売は、現在の EV 販売による事業価値と株価を最低でも2倍程度押し上げることになります。
So when we're talking about your $305 price target, that's a 12-month price target. It doesn't sound like I mean, if you're looking at a certain percentage of EV penetration, of robotaxi penetration, that ain't happening for
Long time.
5 years, 10 years?
No, actually, so
20 years?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So my robotaxi model uses a 2040 estimate and discounts it back. My FSD is 2035 and discounts it back. But even when I do that, I still get 70% of the $305 is robotaxis. Just because the value is so big. Think of how much you pay for Uber for a mile. And think of how much private car ownership is for you.
But there's
You're
so
still
much,
willing to pay more.
But given that, when you increase the time horizon, you increase the unpredictability. I mean, there are so many other players that could come in and take some of that market share, no?
Sure, that could definitely happen. But how many other players have a $800, $900 billion market cap that can use the capital? Maybe Google, folks like that.
That's my question. I mean, who poses the biggest threat right now?
Yeah, I don't know if I view it as a threat, really. My modeling only has them capturing 20% of non-Tesla robotaxis. There's still 80% that can go to other folks, right? There are other companies out there. Your Mobileye, there's, Google, Waymo, GMS Cruise. There's other players out there. But at this point, how many are as well capitalized? We saw what happened to Argo last year. They couldn't just come up with the capital. You need a lot of capital to throw at this. And Tesla has that capital.
All right, we'll see what happens. Interesting stuff. Tom, thanks for coming in. Tom Narayan is our RBC Capital Markets lead equity analyst on autos.
現在日本ではトヨタやエネルギー産業を筆頭に EV に参入するかどうかの議論が始まったばかりです。
トヨタがバッテリー EV に対してやっぱり具体的な商品の提供ですとか、あるいは将来戦略に対する情報開示という観点でもう少し努力がいるんだろうなという自覚はあるもんですから、全方位の戦略を。
世界的にはすでに EV シフトが進んでいて、テスラはその先の EV 普及後の世界でいかに収益を最大化させるかを見込んでいて動いているわけですが、イーロン・マスクはそのさらに先を見据えていると思います。こちらの映像はつい昨日フランスで行われたイーロン・マスクのインタビューの様子です。
Elon, thank you.
Thank you. Hey guys. Yeah, just kidding for the record. I think the companies still have a lot to do for their core mission. For electric vehicles, sustainable energy, still less than 1% of the global fleet is electric. So you've got about 2 billion cars and trucks on the road, but still less than 20 million are electric at this point. So there's still a long way to go for sustainable energy, for sustainable energy generation. So this, the Tesla mission, I think we've made a lot of progress, but still it's a lot more ahead. Then SpaceX, the goal is it's a big goal, but we want to try to make life multiplanetary, to extend life beyond Earth, and I think this is important for a number of reasons. There's the sort of defensive reason of ensuring that the light of consciousness does not go out. People do ask me, have I seen UFOs and aliens and that kind of thing? And I haven't. And I think I would have seen them by now. So it appears that we might be the only consciousness, at least in this galaxy. And if so, that's kind of a scary prospect because it means that the light of consciousness is like a tiny candle in a vast darkness, and we should do everything we can to prevent that candle from going out. So, yeah. And so some of the things. So that means obviously taking the actions to ensure that Earth is good, that Earth is safe and secure for civilization. And I think it also means extending life beyond Earth to other planets in the solar system and ultimately to other star systems. And I think that's both a sort of defense of the light of consciousness and also, I think, a point of inspiration, because life cannot just be about solving one problem after another. We need things that inspire us. I mean, we need things that move our hearts, that when you wake up in the morning, you're excited to be alive. And being a spacefaring civilization and making true the things that we see in the good science fiction movies, this is one of the things that I think can inspire all of humanity. Just like when the astronauts went to the moon in '69, it was something that they said for all mankind, and it really was something. You say to any human on Earth, what's like the most amazing thing that humanity has ever done? At least one of those things would be, we went to the moon, and so you want to have these inspiring things that make you excited to be alive and excited about the future. Yeah.
And
石油などの資源の乏しい地球外に人類を拡張させるという計画において、スペース X とテスラは重要な位置づけにあります。人間と同じ体を持って人工知能を搭載したオプティマスは、産業界での活用はさることながら、文明の拡張という意味においても重要なものになります。これはイーロン・マスクが十数年も前から訴えていることですが、意識の光が消えないようにできる限りのことをしなければならない。私はイーロン・マスクのように行動することはできませんが、私たちの子孫の未来のためにテスラに投資をすることはできます。これこそが経済合理性以外で私がテスラに集中投資をしている最大の理由でもあります。今回の内容は以上です。私事になりますが、このチャンネルを開設して約1年が経って、12,345 人という多くの皆様にフォローしていただきました。この場を借りてお礼申し上げます。これからも有益な情報を届けてまいりたいと思いますので、もし動画の内容が良かったら、いいね、フォロー、通知ボタンをオンにしていただけると嬉しいです。それでは次回の動画でお会いしましょう。バイバイ。